Welcome back, everybody. This week I have Lawrence with us. I'm very excited to share with you his story and also about his business. Lawrence, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here, Tony. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's start right off with a one word open. If you could use one word right now to share with us how you're feeling, what would that be?
It's got to be grateful. I'm grateful for many things in my life, including this interview with you.
Excellent. I'm grateful as well. Let's kick it off with business. If you could take 3 to 5 minutes, give us a little bit about your background as who you are, and also talk to us about your business from inception to aha moment to where you are at today and where you're planning on going. That would be great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So a little bit about myself first. So I've been working in the venture capital backed startup technology industry for some time. I kind of came up on the sales side. I love to sell things. I think I learned it from my grandfather, who came over from Germany and didn't speak any English and started selling cars when he was young. So I came up on the sales side, and then I was so fortunate to start my own company. One company ago, which we then sold, and then came over here to Incentify to run Incentify. So I've got a pretty varied background. I started in management consulting, and then of course in sales, and now sort of running high tech companies. I'm very excited about the company that I'm at now, and I think the reason why I use the word grateful is we're really able to help a lot of companies and a lot of people, and that's really the beauty of Incentify. And over my shoulder here, I've got this book from Simon Sinek, Start with Why. I don't know if you can see that or not through my bookcase, but Simon talks a lot about if you're passionate and if your company has a strong why, if it has a real purpose for being, you're going to be much more successful. You're going to have engaged employees, engaged customers, and our why here at Incentify is very, very strong. And let me try to explain that for you. The market that we're in is an interesting one. It's a very technical one, so I apologize for that. But it's the market is credits and incentives. So what these are the government at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level will incent big and small businesses to do certain things. It could be we don't have enough grocery stores in a particular part of the country. We'd like you to, Kroger, one of our clients, we'd like you to kind of pull a grocery store and put it in this area. Or it could be there's a depressed area. There's not enough jobs in a certain part of the country. We'd like Cargill, another one of our big companies, we'd like you to put a manufacturing center in this particular location. Now, that's not always in the best interest of the company. Cargill may be looking at 5 or 6 different sites. They didn't really consider the site that the government wants, but the government will then will incent Cargill and will say, look, we know maybe the transportation lines are longer. Maybe you can't hire the same type of people that you'd like to hire, but if you put it here, we'll give you a package, and that package includes all sorts of credits and incentives. And usually those are offsets, like property tax offsets, but they could actually be cash. They're called refundable credits as well, which is sort of cash in their pocket. So whether it's putting a grocery store, putting a distribution center, or other things that are a little bit more complicated, like sustainable energy. If you look at a company like British Petroleum, they're sitting on billions of dollars of credits and incentives to help them convert from burning fossil fuel and driving the energy needs of our country and of the world to wind farms, building wind farms off the coast of California. And it's kind of an incredible thing, because if you think about a company, is especially a publicly traded company, they have shareholders and they have to deliver a certain amount of profitability. Their EBITDA has to be strong. And to have a company like British Petroleum, as big as they are and as powerful as they are, to go build these turbines off the coast of California, it's an impossibility without the government stepping in and saying, we're going to help bridge your need for profits with our need to move us to sustainable energy. So the credits and incentives come in, and now British Petroleum is able to kind of work on these things. And I'm picking on them, but there's a lot of companies that are doing the same thing. The electric grid is another really good one. You mentioned earlier you have an electric car, and I do too. You can't go very far with an electric car if there's no electric car grid. So the government is out there putting incentives in place to build out that grid, so that when we move away from all combustion engines and move to electric engines in the near future, you can get a charge when you're sitting at a restaurant or in the grocery store or wherever else. That's not always in the best interest of the person that owns that parking lot or that parking garage. The government makes it so that some of those costs are offset through these credits and incentives. Now, enter Incentify. I give all that as background. Enter Incentify, and why I'm so excited and why there's such a strong why for our company. These credits and incentives that are out there today for big companies and small, and I can give you examples of both, are very difficult to find. They're very difficult to manage and very difficult to monetize. And by monetizing, I mean, in some cases, you have to match your tax liability with these credits and incentives. If I have a multi-million-dollar incentive package in Colorado, but I have no tax liability because I'm running an operating loss because of the pandemic or whatever else, I can't necessarily use those credits and incentives. So our system helps our customers find these credits and incentives, manage them so that they make sure they stay in compliance and they actually can pass an audit and get all the way through the process, and then helps them to optimize, to figure out which ones do I use first? Do I use these first? Do I use these first? Do I sell these? Do I trade these? How can I get the best benefit for my company? And why I'm so excited about Incentify over most other companies that I've ever worked is that not only does it help our customers, which is great, and we want our customers to make money and save money and offset their tax liability, but it helps Main Street America. It really does help those folks that are without a job, or those folks that or the environment, or affordable housing. All these different things that incentives are sort of targeted at. Usually they're for the good. The government is incenting things that are good for society, and Incentify is really helping in this mission.
Laurence, speaking of grateful, I am so grateful that you're on the show, because I had no idea of your capability for your company. Because when you looked at the website, or when I looked at the website, I had a good understanding, high level, but I'm so grateful that you're here so you give us a really good high level and detailed understanding of what you guys do. And I'm super excited now that I understand your why and the difference that you make. So thanks for taking time to share that with us.
Sure.
Um, Absolutely. Let's shift gears over to wins. If you could share with our audience a recent win in business context, and also your takeaway from that.
Yeah, sure. So a couple of wins that I'll talk about, and I'm excited about both of these particular wins. One is we just signed a massive contract with 3M. So if you think about 3M, one of the biggest manufacturers in the world, they manufacture in 200 countries. And so they're going to manage all of their credits and incentives using the Incentify platform. That's a huge win for us. It really does. We have a number of multinational clients. Cargill is our biggest client. They're the biggest private company in the world, bigger than Coca-Cola. A lot of people haven't even heard of Cargill. And then it's funny, they're both of these massive behemoths are both based in Minneapolis. So we're pretty excited about that. And what we're going to be able to do for 3M and for all the economies, the micro economies that are in and around 3M's manufacturing centers. But the other one that I want to talk about is a local restaurant here I live here in Manhattan Beach, a little local restaurant, and a friend of mine is the owner, and it's a restaurant called Mama D's. And we don't, as Incentify, we have not been working with very small businesses. But our system is so powerful and so sophisticated that it can help anywhere from the largest companies in the world all the way to the smallest. And there's a particular credit out there right now that I've been working on with a number of different clients. It's called the ERC. It's the Employee Retention Credit, and it's part of the CARES Act. It was put into place to help those businesses, large and small, that were impacted significantly by the pandemic. But very few people are actually aware of it. So I got a couple of teenage boys. They work at Mama D's. I'm friends with the owner, and I just happened to mention to him. I said, "Hey, have you gone after the ERC?" And he said, "I don't even know what that is." And I was like, "Okay, well, let me put you into my system. Let me get you into the process." So put him into the system, and he's literally going to get a couple of $100,000. Now, to a guy that owns a couple of restaurants, to me, it kind of warms my heart that I'm able to help someone that I know that's helping my kids by giving them jobs. And now he's able to walk away with a check for a couple of $100,000 because he struggled over these last 5 quarters with the pandemic. And I think that is and I bring that up not because it's the biggest win for Incentify or it made the most money for us, and in fact, quite the contrary, but I just love that we're able to help companies large and small, and someone that's a sole proprietorship of a company that just isn't aware that these credits and incentives exist. And he is just so thankful that this money is coming his way.
That's really great because most of them are just trying to survive and they're so focused on top line numbers, hiring, training, executing and completing orders, or in this case, the restaurant, keeping customers happy and employees happy, and you came to him with that option. That's really great. Let's talk about failure. So if you could talk about failure in threefold, one is what does failure mean to you, real quickly, and a recent failure and your takeaway from that failure.
Yeah, I think as a guy who's been running startups for quite some time, I don't know if I would call them failures as much as I would call them bumps in the road, and there's a lot of them. This is not Facebook or Snapchat where things are kind of already dialed in and everything is figured out. It's quite the contrary. Things are never quite figured out, and in fact, this company, I was brought in once the company hit one of those major bumps in the road. In the beginning, the company was focused on transferable tax credits. So there's quite a big market for credits that if you can't consume the credit, you can give it to someone else. And as an example, we work with a lot of the entertainment studios. They generate a lot of tax credits. There's a lot of film and TV tax credits out there. We have Viacom, CBS is one of our customers, Sony, and a bunch of the other many major studios. If they can't use those credits, and a lot of things are filmed in Georgia, that's a whole nother interesting story, maybe for now, maybe for another time, but a lot of things are filmed in Georgia. And these big studios may not have enough tax liability, as I mentioned earlier, to consume those credits. So they'll sell those credits, they'll transfer those credits. Coca-Cola, being based in Atlanta, will buy almost all those credits. So the company originally started as an exchange, really, to broker these credits without having to use physical brokers, doing it all electronically. It was a good idea, but not the best idea. So that we kind of wound that down and then spun up. What we kept hearing was, yeah, this is good, but what would really be great is if you guys could manage our credits for us. We kept hearing that. So the entrepreneur that started this company, I was hired in as a CEO for this particular company, Brett Markinson, who's a serial entrepreneur, very successful in all the businesses that he's created and run. He kind of said, you know what? Why don't we move into management? We keep hearing it. We can certainly do it. We got some big customers that are interested in it. Let's go do it. So we went and did it. So I would say that for us and for anyone that's kind of running a tech company, be very open, listen very carefully to what your customers are saying. Don't get so enamored with your own product or service that you can't sort of duck and weave, or I like to say tack, like a sailboat is kind of, you know where you're trying to go, but the path is not that clear. You have to kind of go this way, then maybe this way, then maybe over a little this way, then over this way. And I would say that another strong tack that we made. So we went from being an exchange to being a management solution for credits and incentives. And then what we've been hearing lately is, can you help us find more credits and incentives? So we actually spent a lot of time and focus and energy in these last 6 months building out the discovery. We always had a discovery engine, but we really doubled down on it, and that has been an incredible a boost to our sales, to our revenues, and to the help of our customers.
That's really great. And I sell to enterprise now, and I don't even think a lot of them are aware of, that these credits are out there. And also, if they don't even know there's a company that, has this capability. So we'll have to talk about that offline afterwards.
I'd love to.
Let's shift gears to, if you could go back in time and you're sitting in front of your 21-year-old self and you had 30 seconds to give some wisdom and must have or must do when you're 21 to be successful, what would you say to your 21-year-old self?
Yeah, such a great question. I think what I would say to my 21-year-old self is, enjoy the ride. I've always been pretty focused, very achievement oriented, and once I achieve something, I want to immediately go on to the next thing. I don't have that level of enjoying the ride, so to speak. I think I would tell myself to slow down a little bit, and enjoy the success that you have. Maybe take those trips when, if you have a business trip and you have the opportunity to take 5 days and go explore another country instead of coming right back to the office. Maybe do that. That might be an okay thing to do. You don't have to necessarily be so driven to get to the next thing right away. And I've got 3 boys here in my house with me, and I definitely want them to enjoy the ride a little bit more and not be quite as focused on getting from point A to point B to point C as quickly as possible. I think about this. I had an opportunity. I put a company, my last company, I put a company in Southeast Asia and spent a lot of time in the Philippines. And I had the opportunity to bring my kids out there and go spend the whole summer in the Philippines and go visit different countries every weekend. And I just didn't do it because I was so focused on getting back as quickly as possible and starting the next thing. And and I kind of regret those things that I didn't do because I'm just always so focused on achieving the next thing. So enjoy the ride is what I would tell my 21-year-old self for sure.
I totally get it. Let's go into what's that one question that you were hoping I would ask you, or when you're giving these talks and you're doing interviews, or simply a new hire that's you're interviewing. Maybe you have a favorite question that seldom gets asked, or you have a question that you wish more people would ask. What is that? And please answer it too.
Yeah, it's another great question. I guess the question that I would ask, and something that I really like to ask people that are joining Incentify as well, is what drives you? What is your purpose? And I think back to just a phenomenal experience I had. I went to a school called Claremont McKenna College. It's a tiny little school out here in LA. I was fortunate enough to win. I donated some money, and I won a dinner with Bono from U2. I don't know if you know Bono or not, but Bono is a very kind of purpose-driven kind of guy. Like all his stuff that he does with Red and fighting the AIDS epidemic in Africa, and all the things that he was able to kind of use his stardom and his money and everything else. He's always been sort of I don't have a lot of celebrity crushes, but I'd say that he definitely was one. And I was fortunate enough that I got to have dinner with Bono. Only 8 of us at this table. And I'll never forget it. It was probably more than 10 years ago, but he put his arm around me and he asked me a bunch of questions, and he put his arm around my shoulder and he said, Lawrence, I feel like you have incredible talent. And I just want you to promise me today that one day when you're in a position to, you'll use your talent for good. And that stuck with me. That's really stuck with me forever. And I felt like, what is your purpose, or how will you use your talent for good? I think it's really manifesting itself now with Incentify, because I feel so good about, not only do I help my clients, and that's important, and they're get some sun on my face here. They're making money and saving money, and that's really important. And they're able to tell their boss that they bought a great product and they were able to drive 10, 20, $100 million of new credits and incentives. All that stuff is great. But what really drives me is knowing that when Cargill puts a distribution center in a depressed area, that those people in that area that had no job and can't put food on their table or pay their rent, they now have jobs because my software helped Cargill find a credit and incentive that they didn't know about before. And that to me really drives kind of who I am and what I'm about, and kind of what I want to do with my next 10 years in my career is doing things that really can drive good. So I kind of answered my own question, but I always ask people when they interview is like, why do you want to work here? What drives you? What is your purpose? How do you intend to give back? And I think all those things are really valuable and important.
I love it. Very clear and precise. And that was a great takeaway for me as well. So I appreciate it.
Sure.
So let our listeners know your website address and how they could follow you guys and find out more information.
Yeah. Well, if anyone wants to find out more, please visit www.incentify.com. You can reach me at Laurence.Sotsky at Incentify.com. You can reach me there. I'll be happy to talk to anyone. If anyone wants, there's a lot of information and resources on our website about credits and incentives. We mostly work with Fortune 500s, but we're starting to realize that we can be pretty impactful in some smaller businesses as well. But would love to talk to any of your audience members about the space, or help them out in any way that we can. We want to get this economy back roaring again, and the government has done a great job with some of these incentive packages. We just got to make sure people find out about them and are able to get them.
Outstanding. Here we are at the end, sadly. If you could sign us off with a one-word close and why you're choosing to close with this, that would be great.
Well, I think I have to end with what I started with. I'm still grateful. This has been an excellent interview. I really appreciate that you're letting me tell the story of Incentify and why it's so important to the American economy, to the global economy, and to sustainable energy, affordable housing, all those things that are meaningful. And I'm just grateful for your time and for your listeners spending their precious moments listening to this. And look forward to the next one, Tony.
Thank you so much. I also appreciate your time, and I'm very grateful for, the energy and the time that you took to share with us what you guys are all about and your why, which was really exciting to hear and to feel actually. And I'm looking forward to having you back on here soon to catch up to see what you guys are up to.
Would love to, Tony. You let me know when.